Did you feel when you were growing up that there was sort of more traditional expectations of men and women?
Definitely. It was not considered to be that important, my education.
Really? How did that make you feel?
Like I was going to have a career, to be honest.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Seriously with Sarah Beanie. Let's face it, having open and honest conversations with your family isn't always easy, but on this podcast, that's exactly what we're going to do. This week, we're discussing gender roles, some really weird internet culture, and good manners. So, gender roles, it's quite controversial, this subject, isn't it?
I think people tend to shy away from this question because I think that people go, oh, men and women are the same. I don't think they are. I think men and women are really totally different. I think they deserve to be treated completely the same.
I think they deserve to be treated equally, not the same.
Okay, and that's a big difference, isn't it?
But I don't think they are treated equally. There is a massive inequality there.
But I think what's happened traditionally is that for women we are talking about the UK here, because obviously we can't cover all countries because they're all different. But in the UK, I think for women to be able to be equal to men, they had to often pretend to be men.
Yeah.
So I don't think the traditional male roles and the traditional female roles, when you think about it, like to be a successful woman in a man's world, you have to pretend to be a man. Mm-hmm. And I find that kind of really annoying. And it really annoys me that actresses are no longer actresses and they have to pretend to be actors. They have to be called an actor.
I think that was done to try and make it more.
But why do you have to become a man to be equal?
Well, that's my point.
Why didn't actors become actresses?
Yeah. Why didn't actors become actresses?
That's exactly my point, in the sense that we're not quite the same, so there's no need to try and force everyone to be the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but true equality.
I think that's really weird. You're right that in
you still have goddesses.
Yeah,
goddesses and
goddesses.
But you would prefer to be a goddess than a god, right?
Yeah. Well, both is fine. But yeah, a goddess. I know that we're on this journey, this path, aren't we, to try and get, every generation that dies out is, fortunately, each generation is a little better than the last generation. So that's good.
I think gender roles have changed massively. Like, I remember you telling me, and like Dad telling me about his parents and his parents for him and all of his friends' parents. Like very often it would be like, you would have a breadwinner and that would normally be the man. And then you would have a wife that would take care of the kids. And I think that what's really weird is that although that is going on less now, I think that still does happen. But what I think's weird is that I think we've grown up really luckily in a family where you're working, Dad's working, and you're kind of, you're a bit of not a tiger mother, but you're quite a powerhouse. So even though there's four boys, there's four boys, you're the only girl in the family. You are a powerhouse. So I've never really experienced my mum being the kind of one who's staying at home, if that makes sense.
But staying at home it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's also a role, like looking after a home and children. Traditionally, it was seen as
a role in itself,
and now it's almost been rubbed out as a role, because I think now what happens is very often a woman will work, but they'll also do that, but they won't talk about it. And it is actually a role. That is a proper job. If you had a business and it was running, a business of 5-6 people, you'd have an office manager. You wouldn't just expect it to kind of all happen without anyone noticing. But what we've almost done is devalue that role which is kind of interesting. So by trying to have, to achieve equality, we've devalued a role, which I don't know. I think it's more of a question than an answer, is what I'm saying. In the mid-1980s, so that's when I was kind of 15. 48% of people agreed with the statement, a man's job is to earn money and a woman's is to look after the home.
I think you'll be surprised that probably hasn't. I mean, I think it's a bit less. But
What's it now? What is it now?
8% now.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yes. We're getting so much further along.
Last year, only 8% of people thought that a woman's job was to look after the home and a man's job was to earn money. Meanwhile, well over 60% of people said that women do more than their fair share of cooking and cleaning and ironing at home.
Okay, but I have a feeling that sort of could be slightly different. I feel like women grow up faster than men.
I think they grow up differently, but what I don't know is whether from the minute a baby is born, whether the expectations to a girl rather than a boy, it forces that role anyway. So, if there's a little girl, people are more likely to say, will you look after that? Or will you go and do you want, I see people
come
with
with
little
me
girls.
and do some chopping in the
Come and do some chopping in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So it's 2024 and the world has moved on. But what words do you think of when I say the word man?
Lions, tanks.
That guy on TikTok that
Transformers
cuts with an axe.
Yeah,
the guy
shirtless,
that
cuts with an axe.
And when I say woman?
Oh, flowers.
Really?
I'm joking. I'm obviously joking around.
What do you think of when you think of the word woman?
Yeah, it probably is
It's quite
it
stereotypical.
takes me into a stereotypical kind of Disney film direction.
Remember that? What was that really interesting anecdote that you told me about the doctor? And
it was about a doctor, and
it's quite not long, but it was about the fact that you basically it was about the relation. It was a riddle, and it was basically how is the doctor related to the patient, and it sort of went through this, but it's not his father type thing. And I sat there for ages trying to work it out. It ended up being his mum, and it was but my point was that in my subconscious brain, I'd never even thought. It didn't even cross my mind that it could have been his mum. Subconscious sexism was kind of...
There's a subconsciousness that I have, which I check myself for and think, oh, no, gosh, no, don't be stupid, which is that nurses are women.
Yeah.
And I know lots of friends who are doctors who are women, but that doctors are men.
Why is that?
And that bank managers are men. I don't know why I think
that's how it used to be. Did you feel when you were growing up that there was sort of more traditional expectations of men and women?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely, I don't know whether it was because I did really badly at school anyway, but it definitely was not considered to be that important, my education. Because,
really?
Yeah, it didn't matter if I didn't have a career or do well at school, particularly. Not the same way as it did my brother. Yeah, it did matter for him. Really mattered that he had to go to university.
But that was probably came from your parents, though.
Yeah, that's just how it was.
Culturally, how it...
Yeah.
So it's changed a lot.
How did that make you feel?
Like I was going to have a career, to be honest.
Yeah. It's two ways it can go, aren't there?
It's going to go one of two ways. Yeah. Like I was going to absolutely have a career. And so that probably was quite a driving factor in me having a career, is the fact that it was expected that you didn't really matter if you didn't have one.
Did you have any women that you looked up to?
Anita Roddick.
Who's that?
She started the Body Shop, which was phenomenally successful. And it's a chain of shops. But yeah, she started that herself. She was like...
What's I don't know the Body Shop. What is that?
It's I guess you'd call it...
like a super drug?
No, it was a chain of shops that had ethically better products that they sold at the time. Beauty products.
Okay,
like soap and things like that.
Yeah. Like a Boots, but
a bit like a Boots, but it was ethically much better at the time. This is ages and ages ago. But yeah, I did look up to her.
Why did you look up to her?
Because she started her own business and grew it herself. And she was at the front of it and the forefront and was phenomenally successful. And I guess I was really impressed that she was a business person in a man's world. I thought that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That is actually pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we still have expectations. I think when little children are born, even though people try not to do it nowadays, there's still expectations of little children, and the language you use is is kind of feeding in expectations which you don't even notice.
Okay, so you said that the genders should be equal, but they're different, which I could totally agree with. But do you think that the kind of idea of boys wear blue and girls wear pink, do you think that thing's wrong? I've seen photos of me and I was wearing digger and tractor shirts.
Yeah.
I wasn't wearing fairies on my shirt.
But you're obsessed with diggers and tractors when you're younger.
But why was I...
Maybe because he had a T-shirt that I bought with a digger or a tractor on. And that's interesting, isn't it, in itself? It's so subliminal, this, and it comes, when you think about it, it starts
but then
so
on
early.
Average, but then on average, would you say, if you were to take 100 girls, really young girls, and 100 really young boys, and you were to go, are you interested in tractors? Would they, do you think the majority of the girls would say, yes, I am into tractors? Or do you think the majority wouldn't?
I think it's impossible to say.
Or do you think that it
starts
kind of
so
starts
much
before
earlier?
that? Okay, right.
And you look at, it starts so young.
That's really true.
And it's not really relevant when you're, if you look a supermarket for clothes, there's a girls section and a boys section.
Yeah.
Why is there a girls section and a boys section? Why isn't it just clothes?
Yeah.
That's like all the girls
So you
section.
think gender roles,
They start when you're born.
start as soon as you're born?
Yeah. Do you think the role of a man now is more confusing than it used to be? Is that like
I think so, but so is again like the role of like a woman in that regard, because it's like, well, your role used to be this,
and now what is it?
now what is it? Our role, a man's role used to be this, and now what is it?
Do you think it's harder now for men to know where they fit and what they're meant to do and what their role is?
I think now there's less of like a label on what people should be doing.
Yeah.
It's more, do whatever you want to do. And if that's what makes you happy, then do it.
Do you think your generation is less constrained by traditional gender roles than mine?
I think less constrained, but
Still constrained.
But then it also points you, I guess, in the sort of right direction. You need to have people telling you what to do as a kid.
But that doesn't have to be, you're a boy so you can do these things, you're a girl so you can do these things. It would be more, you're active and good at being outside.
Yeah,
so
you're right. You're definitely right.
So
again, I keep thinking of things that I wanted to say,
and then realising how wrong you can be.
That they're not. I even disagree with them in my head. So I've stayed actually quite silent during this topic.
It is quite complicated, and I also think it's a lot of this. We struggle to talk about because people worry that they don't want to offend anyone or say the wrong thing, and the danger with everyone feeling that they. With people thinking, I mustn't talk about it, is they don't talk about it, and therefore it's all hidden away. And if we don't get it out on the table and talk about it, then we can't change it, can we? I think that's my feeling. So, do you know, it's interesting because when I was a child, I really didn't want to be a girl. It was from my earliest memories being really cross that I was a girl. So I had this little pink pair of shorts and a little pink shirt. They were really sweet, actually, cotton and, like a little button-up shirt. And I remember literally lying on the drive, screaming and kicking my feet and refusing to wear this, with my mother who tried to get these clothes on and me ripping them off and refusing to wear them because they were pink. And that's probably one of my earliest memories is...
Do you think that was because you had not a brother?
Possibly, yeah. I didn't want to be in the girl
Group,
club.
Yeah. Was part of it that you didn't feel good enough as a girl? Was there...
Yeah. Okay. No, that is absolutely it. I thought that you weren't as good. I thought boys got a better deal. I thought it was better to be a boy because you had more things you could do, more opportunities, which was true at the time.
Yeah. What's your thought on the next generation then? Because really being a businesswoman is as common as being as a man, as being a businessman now.
Not quite, but I'd say it's much more common than it was.
It's still unusual to be a house husband, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
When you hear about a dad who's a full-time at-home dad and doesn't have any job at all, and they don't have anyone who helps with kids, and that's what they do full-time.
Yeah.
It's still unusual. It still makes you go, oh, that's unusual. So we haven't reached equality, and we still look down on women who stay at home and look after the kids. So if we're looking down on men and women who are at home looking after the kids, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Talking about it now, I think the gender roles have shifted dramatically and moved on, but actually have an awfully long way to go still.
Yeah.
Because actually there's whole areas that are really not okay. And of course, not everyone feels that gender defines them anyway. So that just shows how our attitudes are changing. And maybe that's better. Maybe it's better to get to that point.
I think that is a much better place. Because at that point, there's no...
Yeah. I mean, there's still an irony to me about why on a passport you need to say whether you're a man or a woman. Like, what's it got to do with who... I mean...
Yeah.
Why does it need to be on your passport? Why does it matter? I think we've got a long way to go, but I suppose my main thing is that I think we probably have further to go than we think. And in my opinion, I think what we need to do is keep correcting ourselves and keep being aware of. I don't think it matters that we have these stereotypical thoughts that come from a many decades of facts being slowly fed into us, but we should be aware of them, because when we're aware of them, then we can change it. That makes sense?
Yeah.
We all have unconscious bias, but what matters is making it conscious, bringing it out, discussing it, and changing our minds. After the break, the boys are going to be quizzing me on some internet culture.
So today we're talking about BDE. Do you know what BDE is?
No, is it a venereal disease?
Big dick energy.
Yeah.
What is that meant to mean?
It's like that.
You mean like irritating somebody really?
No,
cocky?
I think it's
like the it
thing.
factor.
You're kind of comfortable and you're cool and you're...
Tell me something. Is your generation still so archaic that they think that having a big dick makes you a better person?
Well, I don't know. Well, that's kind of what I think.
You should hear the amount of girls that say, I need a guy that's over 6 foot. Like, that's it.
And then over 6 inches as well. Like, who's...
Yeah.
Do they say that?
That doesn't even exist.
That doesn't even exist.
I'm pretty sure.
Can we just clarify?
Did they say that?
Yeah.
If your penis isn't 7 inches, then what's the point?
Gosh. Do you need to have a big dick to have big dick energy?
Well,
No.
I don't think so.
You just need to appear as if you would have a big dick.
Okay.
So
basically...
a confidence within yourself and your...
But why would that...
It's mildly offensive.
I kind of agree with you. Like, why does having a big dick have anything to do with your confidence?
Exactly.
But it's kind of I guess what it sort of means is it's a way of saying you're super comfortable in yourself. So like if you
well, again, I really hate the term. I love the idea of being super confident within yourself.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think,
but a girl can have big dick energy.
Big vagina confidence.
No, big dick energy. But you're right. It's
making me feel rather unwell, mother.
What are the qualities of BDE then?
I think sort of if you're comfortable, if you're charming, if you're...
It's probably quite similar to like... So it came from Pete Davidson, who was really famous for going out with every single supermodel celebrity under the sun.
But people didn't really understand because...
He's not specifically good looking.
He wasn't really good looking in terms
He's not jacked. He's really skinny. He's not like a stereotypical. He doesn't look like Brad Pitt, for example.
Okay, he just basically pulled lots of...
Yeah.
He's got like a long string of...
Very, very attractive, very famous ex-girlfriends.
But there was a tweet that went viral in, I think it was a couple of years ago, and it popularized the term.
Okay.
It was about Pete Davidson because he walks around and he's just got a certain.
He's got a bit of a swagger to him.
Yeah.
And would you use it about someone? Would you say you BDE person?
No, I've only ever heard it. I've never actually
used it.
But that's why I wanted to get your opinion on it, because I think it's a bit of a weird. I think it's a bit of a weird way to describe someone. As having big dick energy. I kind of to put it into perspective, it would be like, I don't know, if someone was saying something like, it's a compliment. So it would be
I just think we have moved on. If you were wearing a dress,
it would be like, that's big dick energy because he's comfortable in himself.
I just think, when it comes down to it, in my soul, I want to live in an equal world. And I am mildly offended by people's genitals being described as large or small to imply whether they're good or bad. A large vagina woman or a small vagina woman or a large penis man or a small penis man. I just think we surely have moved on from the description of each other's genitals to sum up their character.
I think it's a bit archaic as well.
Good.
And what do you think? One day, people will not be judged by the size of their genitalia, but by the content of their character.
By the content
Absolutely.
of their genitalia.
So small dick energy is a thing as well. It was Andrew Tate sent a tweet to Greta Thunberg saying, what do you think of the fact that I've got all of these cars that produce loads of...
Not just any cars,
emissions?
they were Bugattis.
Yeah, Bugatti. He loves his Bugattis, doesn't he? Or did love his Bugattis. And then she replied with, I don't know, email me at smalldickenergy@getalife.com.
I think that's quite funny.
But you just said that it was wrong.
Yeah.
Just because you don't like Andrew Tate, you've just gone back on your word.
Yeah, I didn't say that I was consistent. I've never said I was consistent. Do you think I've got big dick energy?
Probably in the form of
I wouldn't really like to be described as that.
No, but I think that what it kind of means and what it stands for, you probably do, because you've probably got a confidence, a bit of a swagger.
It's funny, isn't it? Because there used to be a term called Billy Big Balls when I was little.
What?
And it meant that you were like, full of confidence.
Yeah, Billy, like big bollocks.
There's always been, since the dawn of time, there's been varying sizes of genitalia. And that's something that we can't dismiss like that.
No, that is true. But then why is it that we why is it we refer to the sizes of men's penises, describing men and women, but
would you say people are judged on the size of their boobs?
Yeah.
But you wouldn't say, they're such a big boobed girl. That would not be a
people aren't. Would you say people are judged on the size of their boobs? I don't know.
I've heard people be judged on the size of their boobs.
But it's not used as a description, a sort of way of talking about someone. Maybe all people always from the beginning of time have been obsessed with each other's genitalia.
I find
maybe that's more
but
normal.
You've got friends
who
have a big penis. He has a BD, but it doesn't necessarily mean he has that BDE.
God, it's like a riddle, isn't it?
It's like, he's got a bit,
and then he might have that BDCDF. He won't have that BDCG.
What on earth are you talking
certified
about?
Energy.
Oh, blimey. Do you know what? I really wish we hadn't done this podcast at all. They're whispering to each other now because it's so... now they're giggling. It's obviously so rude. I'm glad they've saved...
We can't say it on the podcast. It was too disgusting.
After the break, we're going to look at one of the questions that listeners have sent in. So we've got various listeners who have sent questions in, and one of them was about good manners. They wanted us to talk about good manners. Now, I think manners really matter. They say manners maketh man.
Manners maketh man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think good manners matter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another thing that you were very strict on when we were growing up. Manners were like I would always shake, even from as young as I can remember, was always made to shake someone's hand and look them in the eye when I was shaking their hand. And if I didn't shake their hand, you'd be like, look at them in the eye.
But it is a lot to do with confidence, isn't it? Good manners.
So why did you think it was important to teach us good manners then?
Because I think manners mean that doors open to you.
I think that's true.
And I think it means you're not so annoying to be around.
And table manners is important as well.
So important.
Because if you go and eat with someone that could give you a job and they're really obsessed with table manners, and then you let your animal instincts take over.
Yeah.
Primal. You get primal.
Yeah, and then my mother was obsessed with table manners. It's just absolutely obsessed with table manners. But if you don't know how to, I mean, it's not just table manners matter, but I also think that I think the manners make other people, bad manners make other people feel uncomfortable. And why would you go through life making other people feel uncomfortable?
I think it's also, I think that there's something about shaking someone's hand and looking them in the eye when you first meet someone. I think that because I think that if I shake someone's hand and I go, hi, lovely to meet you, then it makes me look.
It makes them feel like they matter.
Makes them feel like they matter. It makes you look. It makes you look quite confident and nice and charming and.
Well, because it makes them feel like they've arrived and you care.
Yeah.
Without manners, it's quite hard work getting through daily life. And if you take all the nice manners out of it, it's even harder work. So why make it unpleasant?
What's another thing that you taught us? So that we
made you write thank you letters.
Thank you letters.
Which you're not very good at now, but...
Yeah,
I still write thank you letters when I need to.
You do. You're much better than the others, actually. Do you think we'll bring back writing?
Yeah, I think so.
It's already been brought back.
Interestingly, it has kind of already been brought back with the people are journaling now, like kind of diary writing. I think that's a big thing.
That your generation of diary writing?
But I think there's something.
I wouldn't write a diary.
There's something quite personal. You can make it quite personal on when you put pen to paper.
Yeah,
and no one's ever going to read that. Whereas you can. I know that it's slightly differently. If you write notes on your phone, but there's something a little bit more. I don't know, meditative about writing.
Do you think that good manners are considered a bit snobby?
No.
Maybe sometimes if you kind of, I think
having an opinion on someone else's manners is snobby. I think demonstrating really good manners is always just polite.
That's a good point, actually.
I think manners, in really good manners, I think in general aren't necessarily about the right way of doing things and about, it's more about...
Isn't it about how you make someone else feel?
Yeah, how you make someone else feel,
Yeah.
So because pulling someone up on having bad manners does not make them feel good about themselves.
No, therefore...
Whereas if you make them feel totally 100% comfortable, if they're feeling a little bit uncomfortable themselves...
Then you're really well
then that's great manners.
I went to go and hang out with a friend once when we were really young, probably about 10, maybe even younger. And this kid shouted at his babysitter.
What, shouted at, why?
That's bad
I think she was taking too long to open the door.
And what did she shout back?
Probably not, otherwise he wouldn't have been allowed to do it.
Hang on, so he was allowed to shout at the babysitter?
I don't think he was allowed to. The parents weren't there. I was horrified. I didn't know what to do.
But I would have been. Is that bad manners or is that like?
Yes, that is bad manners.
Just bad parenting though.
Both. I don't know. I would have been furious with you if you'd done that.
It was hideous, but
yeah. But why did he do that? He was just. I guess he was allowed to.
Maybe he thought it would be funny for me to see and was trying to show off. When you're 10, you do get things wrong. I've been really fucking rude before.
Have you?
Yeah.
Bad manners.
I've had really bad manners and been really rude. I've been really rude to you before.
You have been rude to me.
I'm not impressed with it, but the truth is...
I probably wouldn't be impressed with it either.
No.
Obviously, I'm not impressed with it.
Yeah.
But you've been really rude to Mum as well.
Don't think so.
You have.
When?
Stop it. You can't pretend. You can't throw me all under the bus now.
Give me one example.
There are so many.
Give me one example.
So many.
Everyone, all the podcast listeners would hate you if she even started.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll protect you from hatred.
You can try and make something up to make me look bad. But,
but the truth is, I think
no one's perfect.
No one's perfect.
But at least you should recognise when you are rude. I think if you learn really young, then it's really automatic. And so if you can teach really young children good manners, then it's not an effort. You don't have to try. They just do it anyway. So I guess my feeling always was that as soon as you can talk and walk, you should be taught nice manners. It's automatic then. The Pampers website does have some really good tips on how to teach manners to young children. And there's a really beautifully illustrated book called Mind Your Manners by Nicola Edwards that also has good tips on how to teach manners to children. So that's the end of this week's episode. Join us next week.
Join us on our podcast, Seriously with Billy and Charlie
Swift.
Join us while we tackle other serious topics like that.
On Seriously with Billy and Charlie Swift.
With Sarah Beanie. If you'd like to submit a topic for us to discuss, please email us. The address is mail@seriouslywithsarahbeanie.co.uk. Seriously was created by me, your host, Sarah Beanie, and our producer, Jonathan Profaska. The show is recorded and edited by Jonathan Profaska and Christian Kay.